Hi, today is September 18th of 2020. My name is Raymond, the Director of Education here at Monteca International Play School. Thank you for tuning in today to our Parent Info Seminar. It's actually Info Seminar number 25 today. Our topic of the day is apologies, actually. So we're going to be talking about how children apologizes and some sort of questions that tags along with this topics are such as why do we apologize? How do we ensure that children understands the meaning behind an apology when they do apologize or say sorry or something like that? What kind of teachable moments are there? And also discuss a little bit about how to handle their emotions as well. So think about a scenario. A child displays some sort of undesired behavior, such as, for example, pushing another child. The child will glance up to see if there are any adults around that actually saw this incident, and they mutter a sorry quickly in a not so sorry voice, tone, or attitude. And then they quickly run away to continue with whichever activity they were working with. So in this situation, nothing really helps with the other child that is injured, for this example. No lessons are being conveyed to the aggressor. So the question to you is sorry being used correctly here? So there are a couple of things that are concerning here. The first one is we ask the question, does the child exhibiting these undesired behaviors know what an apology is? Is it something to just say upon expressing a behavior that they feel they might get in trouble with, so they can just say sorry and move on with it? Is there even empathy? And then we move on to discuss what is empathy. We define empathy as the ability to observe and critically understand and share the feelings of another. One expression you might have heard is, putting yourself in other people's shoes, to think and look at things and feel things from their point of view. Is actually a very important skill set in our society as well. Speaking of skill sets, also conflict resolution is extremely important. Whether you're a child or an adult, when you're going out or in school, conflict resolution is something that will definitely come up, and it's pretty much inevitable. As adults, the norm has developed the skill of empathy, and we understand social cues. So we resolve conflicts using our words and sense of empathy, actions, and a true display of sincerity when we do something that may be wrong per se. So the question is, why don't we teach children that too? So in the Montessori setting, our teachers have very specific ways to deal with this topic, which falls in line with our grace and courtesy part of our curriculum. The role of the Montessori directress or the director is being a neutral mediator for the two parties, I guess, two or more parties even. They're just a neutral mediator. They ask a lot of questions to guide the children to sort and understand their feelings and to promote that sort of communication between them, which will allow the children to get into this routine of always thinking about their own feelings or perhaps another person's feelings before they carry out an action. We keep in mind that we need to prepare children for all sorts of inevitable things that are in their lives, to gracefully resolve and also in a courteous manner as well. So a few steps that we take are such as these ones. Number one, of course, we separate the children. If any sort of conflict is there's a nature of violence or at least a possibility of either party getting injured or hurt, the first step is to ensure that safety is present. We have to do it firmly and we also have to do it without anger as well. And I know it's very difficult to keep emotions out of it sometimes, but if we show we can be neutral, the children can actually see that, and we can focus everything that's happening on the children and the incident itself. This in return lets the children see that it's safe and it's really okay for them to talk about and share their feelings, and most importantly, they do it honestly. Separating them also gives a window and sort of a distance between them where they can regain their calmness and control through self-regulation. We talk about self-regulation in Montessori as well, because we want children to be able to regulate themselves, regulate their own emotions, to always think. And after this, we move on to the next step when we know they're exactly ready for communicating. Our next step would be asking questions. We ask questions such as, what happened? How do you feel? How does the other person feel? We talk to both of them, or all the parties involved. We make sure that they have a turn to share what they have to say, and we have to be able to hear from all sides. We ensure that children understands and acknowledges that we heard them. We're active listeners. We do this through repeating what they say, and asking for reassurance, asking them if they said something correctly. We do it slowly and clearly. Okay, it instills a sort of sense of calmness into it. And we always repeat it back to them to let them know that we are actually listening. And afterwards, the next step would be asking the question of what could be done differently. Instead of using punishments, instead we ask them about how the situation could have been handled more appropriately for next time. We help them with answers. We get them involved in the thinking process together. And we might need, at the beginning, we might need to provide a few alternatives to help push them along to get that thinking going. But over time, children, of course, they will learn to get into the practice of this and do it themselves. We always encourage them to use their words. And then after talking about how things can be done differently, we talk about what they need as a person to feel better. Many times children may not feel better after even talking about what can be done differently. So we specifically ask them and make them own this feeling. For example, what do you need to feel better? If they were hurt, most of the time they might want a hug or a sip of water or ice if it's a more serious injury. But we're getting all parties involved, having them help each other with what they need. Will give them that initiative and a sense of responsibility to sort of help their peers feel better. We use a general formula such as I feel so and so, when you so and so, and I want so and so. In order for them to express this out, they'll feel much better, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they can regulate their emotions easier as well. It helps with focusing on expressing their feelings and emotions over this blanket of anger and sadness. So a lot of people will ask, what about punishment? In Montessori, we try to focus on natural consequences rather than actual punishments. Our whole curriculum, even our materials, all our activities are based around this sort of idea of natural consequences. For example, I used the term control of error before in our previous seminars, which is based on the natural consequence. If something wasn't done in a certain way, what will happen? In terms of materials, we use the control of error for children to constantly self-check their work. And it's the same when we come into real-life situations. We allow children, obviously without the element of being injured or hurt, after they do something, they have to understand that there's going to be a consequence. Putting it into a real-life setting, and they'll be observing and monitoring their own behavior instead. And of course, in the event where someone is unsafe or repeatedly breaking the rules, as per se, then of course there may need to be additional consequences to ensure safety. And we always explain to the child first. Example, it could be, this is the third time you have hurt someone today. I can't trust you to be safe right now, but you can stay with me until you find out how to be safe. That in that way, the child will own that responsibility and understand what the consequences that has happened. Again, we're being firm, but not harsh. So, and the next part of punishment is what about apologies? Being willing and able to apologize when you really do feel sorry is definitely a great life skill to learn and practice, even into adulthood as well. And the key point is for adults around our children to model that sort of behavior on a regular basis. When it's necessary, of course, to use phrases such as sorry. Get used to using those and explain it a little bit and model it for the children. There's no point trying to make a child say, I'm sorry, if they do not mean it or understand it. It does not help them become better people. Instead, this will become the go-to line when they want to get out of a situation. Instead, we help them express, we focus more on helping them express what they're feeling, helping them make themselves feel better, and other people around them feel better. And this way, they really try and make amends. Sometimes we can use different types of methods for them to express this kind of feeling. Some children may like to draw a picture or write an apology note instead and express their feelings that way. It's definitely a time. There's definitely a time and a place for apologies in our society as well. But in terms of children's conflicts, there's so many teachable moments in here where we can push in that sense of responsibility, the sense of ownership, grace and courtesy. Lots of teachable moments. It's important for us to give them these tools to talk through their disagreements instead, teaching them how to express how they feel, and most importantly, be peaceful, which is something I think everybody in the world sort of needs right now as well. So that's where we'll end today. Just a friendly reminder, our classes and sessions have resumed. We have the combinations of the journey class, which is when the parents come in as well with the child, and you all sit into a classroom and you can sort of see how our Montessori facilitators will facilitate our curriculum. We have 2 independent classes for both age groups, for toddlers and the CASAs. They're an hour and a half and 2.5 hours long. We have up to 4 sessions a day from Monday to Saturday. So do contact us for more enrollment details. Enrollment is open and spaces are extremely limited as well. Again, follow our Facebook, our Instagram for news, updates, and promotions. As the Education Bureau has stated, that school will start on the 23rd of September. Do take precautions and be safe out there. Besides that, have a great weekend and we'll see you in 2 weeks. My name is Raymond Ng and I'm the Director of Education. Take care.